What is going on, everybody? My name is Jay. We're CapShotz as well. By my side is going to be Mike Hush. So with this series, this is Conversations. This is a series where him and I primarily will be talking about everything nerdy in the world. So when it comes to Marvel, DC, just like things like Stranger Things, like things that are pop culture that way. For the most part, he and I are both big proprietors or just big fans of that stuff. When it comes to our friends, they're fans of it. They like it. They enjoy it. We enjoy it on a whole new level. We enjoy the in depth. Especially the both of us throughout this podcast, you'll hear the mention of Screen Crush, New Rock Stars, Emergency Awesome. Those are three big channels that the both of us watch when it comes to things like Obi Wan, when it comes to things like The Mandalorian, The Boys,
Literally
just
anything
literally
Marvel,
anything you can think of, Marvel,
DC.
DC, anything like that. They're things that we watch because we enjoy looking at the in depth part of everything. Um,
And learning about the characters.
Learning literally just everything about it. We're just big fans of it, right?
That's why we're
Um,
so nerdy about it.
so we're nerdy. That's why we're here for the conversations. Now we'll have guests on as the episodes go on when it comes to certain subjects, certain episodes, certain topics of what things are brought up for those episodes. But for this first one, we're talking about Obi-Wan. So we went on a little bit of a tangent when it came to actually recording the podcast. So we're just doing an intro for this one right now, just to say what this series is going to be about primarily. And we'll also have a point 0.5 version, I guess, if you will, of the episode talking about the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer that just came out recently a few days ago. We'll have that come out on Thursday. I believe that's June 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's June 2nd is what it'll be. So we'll have that come out. But for this one, we primarily talked about Obi-Wan. We cut quite a bit of footage of stuff of just us rambling before we even get to the main subject. So we wanted to really show you guys what our thoughts were on episodes 1 and 2 of Obi-Wan. Hope you guys can either agree, disagree with any of the things that we say during the episodes. As far as like future episodes as well, not just this one. You're free to agree, disagree, enjoy, or anything you'd like to with our episodes. Mike, how would anything you gotta say? Let it out. What do you got?
If you're watching, one, thank you. And this is something we've wanted to do for a while. Honestly, since I saw Doctor Strange and I texted Jacob, I was like, wait a second. I was like, all right, me and you are nerdy as shit. Like, why don't we just do stuff? Why don't we just talk, like, have a podcast about this shit? But if just leave any type of comment down below about like how you feel about the show and everything like that. And what you like and dislike about Obi-Wan. It's a lot more that like than dislike for sure about this one.
I would definitely agree. So honestly, when it comes to it, nothing gonna go on more about it. There's quite a bit of podcast left in this, so we'll let you guys enjoy it. Like Mike said, please let us know in the comments if you do enjoy it, like it. If you do, if you want to see more, if you guys want to come on as guests, let us know. We can try and see if we can work that out as well. We try to have a couple guests, if not one guest per episode, if we can try and help it. So without further ado, here is episode number 1 of Conversations. It is time to talk about the one and only thing that most people came here for, and is the title that shows Obi-Wan.
We could be here forever.
We could be here
this.
forever talking about it.
Literally,
So
we
gotta stay on topic here. We gotta try our best to stay on topic. We're already about 35 minutes in. We haven't even touched the topic of Obi-Wan yet.
Should just do an episode where we just like talk about random comic book stuff. Honestly,
yeah, I mean, we could do it for a long time.
Yes.
So Obi-Wan. Before getting into the nitty gritty of the details of the first two episodes, what was your overall thoughts of that show so far?
I was surprised because I didn't know when they announced it. I was obviously excited because I love okay, Ewan McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how okay. I love him as an actor. I love him as Obi-Wan. And the fact that Hayden Christensen was coming back, I was like, fuck yes, like let's go. Because I think he didn't do that bad. He didn't do that bad of a job. Like people gave him a lot of shit, but he did. He was pretty good. But I was surprised because I didn't know what they were gonna do. The trailers look pretty good, and it's like the way. Okay, I'm comparing this sort of to the Book of Boba Fett because that was kind of like the last Star Wars show, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Like I like certain parts of it, but like I don't know. I could feel like the budget for this was like way higher. You could just tell with the set production, the way it was shot, the way the visual effects look. I'm like, dude, like this they must have poured a lot of money into this show because it is a limited time. Like it's not gonna be like 7 seasons long. I'm hoping it gets season 2. I don't know how it's gonna end, but like, dude, it just looks really really good, and I'm happy with the story. Yeah, that first episode was a little slow, but it was building stuff up, which I was fine with. But the second episode, dude, oh my god.
I mean, I love this series so far. I love everything. Once it got announced, I was very excited because when you think about it, from episode 3 to 4, Obi-Wan goes from this heartbroken, he feels like he failed, Anakin. He feels like he failed everybody, um, to like this kind of at peace older guy in episode 4. So it's like, how did he get there? How much did he suffer? Did he instantly just kind of after a couple years be like, it happened, and now I gotta get over it. I'm an old guy now. I gotta stay hidden. What happened in that span? Because I think it was about 20 years difference between the original trilogy, not the original trilogy, but episode 3 to 4. About like 20 or so
Yeah.
years, I believe. Because at this point, Luke and Leia
Oh,
are Luke and Leia are 10 years old.
yeah.
So, and they're about 19 or 20 whenever the original trilogy starts.
I
So,
believe so.
I mean, the aging is a little different on Ewan McGregor and the original actor for Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's something
But
we could
we
just let
can
it
look
slide.
past it. Who the fuck cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
Um,
We just want the good
so
stories.
so getting into episode 1, we kind of open once again. We've had our shit shoved when it comes to Order 66 over the past couple years.
Yeah.
More so Mandalorian season, or not Mandalorian. I'm sorry, Book of Boba Fett. Earlier in this year, we saw Grogu's point of view of Order 66 and the Jedi Temple, which something
Yeah.
that was a big reveal whenever that happened. We found out, where did Grogu come from, where was he hiding from, all that stuff. If
That was very
that
happy to
happened,
see that.
but then come to find out, he remembers and he was there. Grogu was there during Order 66. He sees these soldiers and stuff like that that just take over and they destroy his kind, which is insane. Something I never thought to see. Dude, whenever that happened, I kind of like shed a tear a little bit. Like, that's sad. He is traumatized over that. Like, this
Yeah.
character that can't speak, he conveys so much emotion, which is insane. Like I said, once again, we open Order 66 again, Jedi Temple. Um, kind of pans to the kids. They're getting their training in, and all of a sudden, doors bust open, and it's the 501st. They're Jedi, which it turns out to not be anybody specific. It's just a Jedi.
The Jedi.
Just a Jedi.
Yeah.
She's trying to lead them to safety, chopping down. What I thought was very, very cool was she put up a fight, and she put up a very cool
Oh,
fight. I mean, she
yes.
was whipping around, just taking him out. Like, she gets hit earlier in the sequence with one of the blasters shots, and she still keeps going, and she's still like mowing down like 3 or 4 more before she finally takes that final hit to like the stomach, and
Yeah.
then takes out the final one still, and then she's like, dude, I can't do it, I'm out. And she, she dies. And then the 5 young was like, what the fuck do we do now? Like, what the fuck? And then the one black.
What?
She's black. I don't know. The one, or one. I think there was another one, but there was one that they kind of focused on because they opened the scene with that same youngling. But she's like, one of them goes, "What do we do?" And she goes, "Run." And then they just run. So I mean, it kind of hints at the fact that that youngling is likely Riva.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. But so then once that scene goes by, all of a sudden we get hit with 10 years later. And then it opens to the sands of Mos Eisley, the sands of Tatooine, once again, as pretty much every Star Wars thing has ever touched so far, which is interesting how they're keeping it around this one planet, but then also expanding on their whole universe. I like that they do that. They kind of keep it centered around the one thing. It's fun that way.
Yeah.
So they kind of open to Mos Eisley, and then the Inquisitor's ship comes across, lands. We see the first appearance of the Grand Inquisitor in live action. Well, how do you think the overall look of, like, especially the main three? So we have the third sister Riva, we have the Grand Inquisitor, and the fifth brother. So what's your overall, like, for the costume design? Like, were you a fan of it? Were you not? Like,
Well, this is coming from a guy who has not seen what is Grand Inquisitor from
from
Clone
Rebels?
Wars
He's from Rebels.
or Rebels. Okay, so I have not seen either. I do need to get on it. I've been saying this for about 2 years. That I need to watch it. And I haven't watched it yet. But this is coming from a guy who hasn't seen it. Dude, he looks fucking dope. I mean, spoiler alert, he got stabbed in the second episode, but like, I like him, and I like all. I'm what makes this like a good show, especially when Star Wars is a good villain, and I fuck with all of them. I love the look. I like their mission, and I like how fierce they are. They're pretty dope, honestly. It makes me want. And this is not another tangent, but like, it makes me want a Knights of Ren type like series. You know, I think it would be
So
dope.
so there was a lot of backlash when it came to the Grand Inquisitor because his look from the well, not the comics, but his look from the Rebels turning to live action was toned down. Same as Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett was very toned down.
That was toned down.
It was toned down.
Really?
His look was toned down, but he's also meant to be much older. Cad Bane in the show, he's much older than he was in Clone Wars,
Huh.
which like shown his species over time gets less blue. The blue gets kind of drained from them. It's kind of like their version of getting old.
Yeah.
But regardless, so the Grand Inquisitor, I'm a big fan of how he looks. Fifth Brother, big fan. I think their overall look, as far as like their suits and everything, they look really cool. We later see
Yeah.
the fourth sister, in episode two, and even her design is very cool. She kind of like her like the wires that kind of lead up to her head that I think maybe the way she breathes, something like that. Just like a breathing apparatus or some sort that kind of in the back of her suit. It's very cool. I like stuff like that. It's basic, but it shows like what it's meant to be. So they're hunting for a specific Jedi who we find out very, very soon, or like very quickly as well, that it wasn't Obi Wan that they were searching for. It's actually a different one that was actually taking refuge on Mos Eisley. Um,
Yeah.
they start interrogating the saloon uh, owner, just to find out that in the same corner, all of them are trying to. At any time during that scene, it's really cool because you're like, who is it? You know,
I
who
thought it
is
was gonna be
it?
Obi-Wan.
At first, I thought it was Obi-Wan too. I was like, oh shit! But then they like start saying like, oh, it's someone specific that you're letting him seek refuge here, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I feel like Obi-Wan wouldn't be that dumb to kind of stay in town type of thing. Like he's
Yeah.
outskirts for sure, or something like that. Um, so for it to be somebody else, and like they kind of like hint to it very quickly that it's somebody else, he's likely here right now, and they start panning around the different shots of like the Inquisitor looking around, or just the different things of showing the different characters that are within the saloon, because you kind of see like all of those actors like. They're B-roll actors. They're just there to kind of fill the room for the most part. Besides, like the person who turns out to be the Jedi, but at any
Yeah.
given time, you're like, dude, it could be any of them. We have no idea who it could be. And then, you know, Riva throws the knife at the guy. Dude stops it, runs away, everything like that. We find out very quickly that Riva has kind of her own side mission with this. She's like, I'm tired of like looking after all these little stupid Jedi that we keep looking after. Like, let's look through the meat of this. Let's look for the Jedi.
Yeah.
Um, look for Obi Wan, and the Grand Inquisitor is like, he's not yours to find, which I thought was an interesting detail because I'm like, does that mean he's specifically trying to look for him, or does that mean like Darth Vader has like somebody specifically set out for him? Does that mean Vader himself is trying to find him? Like, it had me very curious.
I think Vader's trying to find him, and like he's basically has those guys looking for him. But like, okay, maybe not because they're not even really focused on him. That's the thing.
Well, because we later find out in the episode that the fifth brother. It was after like the scene where he's sitting there and like Riva and the fifth brother are sitting there interrogating the town essentially. Where's the
Yeah.
Jedi? Blah blah. We know you know he's here. And then fifth brother's like ends up kicking her to the side, pushing her up against the wall, and he's like, "What is it? Like, what's your end goal with this? We've been searching for 10 years. We're not gonna find him." So at this
Yeah.
point, it makes it seem like they searched mainly for him, but found others on the way. Um, but their main objective before was Obi Wan. Now it's just like, all right, just focus on all the stragglers. Obi Wan will eventually reveal himself, which, come to find out, episode four, he obviously does that
Yeah.
himself. Just kind of like pushing the narrative of what the Grand Inquisitor was saying, that the Jedi reveal themselves. They don't have to. That's kind of the interesting part about finding them, is you don't normally have to kind of do it. They do it themselves. Um,
Yeah.
but the especially the one scene after we find Obi Wan, we find out he's living a normal job, living a normal life. He's not doing too much, right? He is just doing his thing. He's kind of moving along with the motions, trying to hide, trying to be anything but from what he was. But it's also interesting to note is that's not something that Obi Wan ever had to do growing up. He
No.
he always knew a life where the Jedi were there. He always was treated like a royalty. places he went, he was treated as a high regarded security guard sometimes when it came to guarding people like Padme throughout his lifetime, guarding people like the senator that he falls in love with in Clone Wars. Um,
Yeah.
they have these specific missions that they were given. He grew up in the Jedi Temple, so like this is something he's not known about, and Ewan McGregor, the showrunners and everything like that are showing that already. They showed it very quickly that he's kind of having to adjust to something like that, because even after the person right in front of him before he clocks out on the Gonk droid, the owner or the boss, I guess, like pushes the dude, and he's like he doesn't say anything, but he looks, he's like what, like come on man, what the hell? And
Yeah.
then guy's like, you gonna say something? And he just looks and just he's like, I can't do it. If I want to do, because if I want to help, I can't do that. I
Yeah.
can't, because his main goal is to really just stay hidden and watch after Luke. Um, so as the show goes on, once that happens, he goes back home, everything like that, and then he falls asleep. Now, this is something that it was a first teller to me of like, oh, he's traumatized. He is traumatized over the loss of Anakin, over just the past 10 years that have happened, the falling of the Jedi to what is happening now. Um, we just get like these flashbacks of him and Anakin's time together, all this different stuff, and he is like, something I never thought about was essentially the trauma that Obi Wan went through before his older self, especially after
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
I never thought about that either, honestly. Like I thought he kind of just like moved on and like just looked after Luke. I think this is a an interesting thing that they're doing, honestly. And I was happy to see that, like, well, not happy, but like, like happy story wise to like see like, okay, he actually is like kind of screwed up by this, he's having trouble sleeping because of this.
Well,
Um,
it's something you don't really think of because we go from episode 3 where he's heartbroken to 4 where he's just an old man and he's just like come to peace. So you're not gonna think about it if you don't like. There's nothing ever hinting towards anything like that. It was just like, and then especially in episode 4, we only ever hear him reminisce like, oh yeah, I fought with your dad in the Clone Wars and this that whatever. He never like talked about, oh yeah, it was like this terrible tragic time. Obviously we as like the viewers and stuff like that can tell it's that, but like he didn't ever recall to it or say anything sad about it. He just kind of said, oh yeah, I'm recalling it as if it's like one of those war stories. um but I
it's
guess
crazy too, because like he stopped like doing anything Jedi related
anything.
completely. Like he buried both lifesavers, his and Anakin's. He like I thought maybe doing like a little bit of training or something like that, but he literally just like stopped completely.
Yeah, because like the Jedi did like a lot of like the meditation stuff to like kind of keep with the Force and stuff like that, and it seemed like he hadn't done
Yeah.
it in 10 years. Um, like you said, he buried the lightsabers. It's like he kind of buried like a past life in a way. Like he kind of just has come to peace with the fact that I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Um, the age kind of shows on him a little bit too, which is kind of funny. It gets poked at in episode 2. Then eventually we see him look at Luke and everything like that. He buys the little toy, which was a fun callback because I actually watched the episode breakdown on the first episode. Whenever he buys that little toy from the Jawa, it's the same one that Luke plays with in episode 4. It's the same one he kind of plays with, and then they're like, "Oh,
Wow.
it looks like that's the one that Luke plays with in episode 4, like the little tri-wing you sitting there, playing with, and in the beginning of the movie." And I was like, I would have never thought that unless that was pointed out to
Wow.
me. And I was like, that's
Attention to
really really
detail.
cool. That's it. Exactly the attention to detail, the fun of that. But we end up seeing him taking a look after Luke, and he does it from a distance though. He doesn't ever, for the most part, like say that he's there, because I mean he doesn't. Luke doesn't ever know who Ben Kenobi even is until like episode 4, whenever he saves him
Yeah.
from the Tusken Raiders. Um,
Yeah.
but it's something really really interesting to kind of move forward with that. And then something I didn't really realize would be a big thing in this show was the introduction of young Leia too.
Yes.
We
I
found
didn't.
that out
I
very quick. Once that the scene changed and it went over to
it's
what
the
is that?
plan.
Starts
Yeah,
an
I
A.
can't remember.
Starts an A.
It's like
Shit.
Google it real quick.
Some some
Just
fans we are.
yeah, I know.
Give me a
Well,
minute.
like
Alderaan.
uh,
Alderaan.
Alderaan,
Alderaan. Alderaan.
Alderaan.
I know I had it. I know I had it in the
Because
back pocket.
I for some reason in the back of my mind I was like, it's not Naboo, because I know like Naboo was like a very fancy looking planet and everything
Hmm.
like that, and and Alderaan is kind of the same thing. But I was like, You don't see much of it because it gets blown up in episode 4. So
Yeah, it's true. The only really calling of Alderaan is it getting blown up. So,
yeah.
um,
Wait, was
but
that in the prequel movies? Or was that Naboo?
Naboo is for the most part. So I don't remember
Okay.
now.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really watch the first one, didn't really watch the second one. Third one was where
Uh,
it's at.
Facts. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that's the only telling of Alderaan is just getting blown up. But anyway,
Yeah, you don't see much of it.
but to be honest, when it comes to it, man, like that was a very interesting kind of not twist, but it was something I didn't really expect or like think about going into the series. Was like, oh, we're gonna get to look at Leia too, and let me
Yeah.
tell you, that actress, she is perfect. She is the
Perfect.
perfect culmination for someone who would be the son of Anakin and Padme, or the daughter of Anakin and Padme, and then the younger version of a Carrie Fisher, Leia. I mean, she
Yeah.
is perfect. She is hilarious. The way that she tells off her cousin, the way that she has like her manners towards like droids and like other people, her kindness that she shows for people and stuff like that, and then just like her wit towards things and her overall knowledge and the way that she conveys her knowledge like wise beyond her years type thing,
Yeah.
especially in episode 2 whenever Obi-Wan's like, how old are you? And she goes 10 and she's like, you don't sound it.
Yeah.
Because she does sound wise about along her years or beyond whatever beyond her years.
She was a pleasant surprise, honestly. Carrie Fisher definitely would be proud.
Oh my God, Carrie Fisher would have adored her.
Yeah.
um but when it comes to it, I was very we see Flea. We see Flea of the Red Hot Chili Peppers slash Back to the Future as the pirate who ends up kidnapping her in the
Was
episode.
that him? Okay, because I'm like, he looks so familiar. I was like, I could not put my no, I couldn't put my like
I saw
tongue
that
on it or
Flea
nose
was
on it.
gonna be in the show, and I was like, I wonder how they're gonna put him in there. And then that's how apparently he's gonna be a pirate. So we go through
Wow.
that whole thing in the first episode. We find out she's gone, and then Bail Organa, the dad of her, the adopted father, I guess, pleads to Obi-Wan. Him and the mother both, they plead to him like, please save her, like go find her, and he's like, Obi-Wan's like, I can't. He's like, I was told to look at the guy. Yeah, I was told to look I was told to look after Luke. I was told to look after Luke. And then they kind of say like, listen, like she's just as important as Luke is, which didn't really think about it before, but in a lot of the episodes they kind of convey the fact that Luke was supposed to be like this big part of it, as if Leia wasn't. But at the same
Yeah.
time, Leia definitely had her bright spots, and that was something that, especially later on in the 7, 8, 9, they kind of made up for it a little bit. They finally gave her like her kind of like calling of, she's General Leia now. Like
Yeah.
she is what she was supposed to be the whole time. She is this big contributor to the Rebel Alliance, to the Resistance, all this stuff, other sort of stuff. But episode kind of ends with that of him kind of digging up the sand, digging up the lightsabers, and saying, "All right, I have to do it. So
Yeah.
let me do it." Um,
It was like
episode
it
two
was it
opens.
was a good
What's it?
episode.
I
It
thought it was
was
a
a
great
little.
episode.
I enjoyed episode 2 a little bit more. Um, but I think it was a good way to introduce everything.
I think
Honestly,
that's why realistically they released both episodes at once, because
I think so too.
I was personally a big fan of episode 1, and it would have had me hooked to continue with episode 2. But I think for a lot of people like you, like you're saying, it was kind of slow, but at the same time, it wasn't action packed, but it was very telling of what the rest of the series would kind of entail a little bit. Um, Especially with episode 1, they come to find out that that Jedi ends up getting killed and essentially hung and saying, "Hey, if you're a Jedi, this is what happens."
Yeah.
Um, but rest in peace, my homie, I guess. The Jedi, especially before you go over to episode 2, the another telling of how different Obi-Wan is now. Um, the Jedi was like pleading for help, like, please, you have to help me. Like, I know who you are, but help, please.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know who you think I am, but he was like, oh, you have me mistaken. But I think that was for more than one reason. I don't think he was trying to fake him out. I also think he was just like, I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not the guy that can
Yeah.
help you. You need to throw the lightsaber as far as it can be thrown, put it under miles of sand, and just forget it and live a different
Well,
life.
Obi Wan, he's so dedicated to watching over Luke, making sure he's safe. Um, that like he can't really get involved with something like
No,
that.
of course.
Honestly.
I mean, you could, but it's different because he's defeated. Like he is so defeated over the fact of what happened. He is like, we lost the war. The war isn't going on anymore. We lost it. We lost it,
And Anakin.
and I lost. Yeah, I lost Anakin. I lost all this stuff. All this different stuff happens, right? Um, but all right. So episode two opens, and we see the planet. I forget what it's called, like Dio or something like that. It's called like Dio, but essentially it's a underground kind of like really crappy part, and we find that very very quickly when once he gets there, he's already getting offered spice. And ironically, I don't know if you knew this or have like seen something about this yet, but the girl who tries to give him spice in real life is actually Ewan McGregor's daughter.
No
So it
shot.
was really really funny where she was like, "Oh, I'm looking." Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, I'm looking for someone. Can you help me with it?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm someone's daughter. I was someone's daughter once too." And come to find out, it's actually the daughter of Obi-Wan's actor Ewan McGregor, and it's like, oh, that's actually really funny. Um,
I actually had no idea. Was that from a new Rockstar?
hmm
Uh,
he said that I saw it from a different one, but then I like watched that too, and I was like, yeah, it's funny.
I had no
But so,
idea.
I would have never thought that. I mean, like
This is
you can tell
why
the
you watch.
similarities, 100.
This is
percent
why you watch new Rockstars. Watch Emergency Awesome. You learn a bunch of shit, and you're less confused when you watch in the future.
So then as Obi-Wan is walking through, we cut and we hear, oh, can you help a veteran get a warm meal? And you hear the voice of Tamora Morrison, a 501st clone trooper.
Yep.
So not only is that a 501st clone trooper that Obi-Wan knows, like, oh my god, like you took part in the storming of the Jedi Temple, you took part in like the destruction of everything, but come to think of it, and when you really think about it, the last clone face that he saw was Commander Cody giving him back his lightsaber in Episode 3 before he was
Yeah.
shot down off the rock. Um, so it's like, damn, there's a lot of trauma behind that eye. It's not just like, oh no, but it's also very telling to us as the viewers of they are like the Empire had already started fading out the stormtroopers, saying because in the Bad Batch, it's actually huge part of the story is that they're fading out clone troopers, and that's why they meant to stormtroopers because the stormtroopers in the movies then on after Episode 3 are not clones. Obviously, they're just people who were brought in as kids and they grow up and they're trained soldiers for the rest of their lives. Um,
Yeah.
which is why they like to joke around and say that in episode 4, 5, 6, that's why they miss so much. They're just people. They aren't trained clones that can do that.
Yeah.
Um, but
Maybe a mistake of the Empire's fault. You know.
they didn't want to spend the money, man. That's essentially what they were saying. Like it's a very expensive thing to do to run something like that to continue to produce clones with the lifeline that they essentially have. Because you see how in the by episode 3, a lot of the clones are like in their adult age, similar to the age of like a Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor only aged a little bit. Well, it seems like the clone trooper in the episode aged twice or three times as fast as he did. It's because the
Yeah.
lifespan of a clone is much quicker because they don't need to live that long. They just need to serve their purpose of going into battle and listening to orders.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad to see that we find out, yeah, they are fading him out, and that's where they are now. Most of the clone troopers, they did their duty and they got thrown to the side. A lot of them didn't remain continuing doing their jobs, especially the soldiers like the 501st and stuff like that. They just did their shit and they were done.
Yeah.
Um, so
Typical thing that happens with the Empire. That you do work for them and they just throw you away.
they throw you away. Yeah, I mean, it happens. So we kind of move on to him continuing to go through it, and then come to find out, a kid stops him and he goes, "Hey, I know a Jedi that can help you do that." And we find out really, really quick. I don't remember the guy's name, but he was in the Eternals. He ends up playing a fake Jedi,
Yeah.
who a fake Jedi with good intentions. He does still help people get to safety and stuff like that, but he does it for the money,
Yeah.
which on a planet like that, you can kind of understand why. It seems like a place that's definitely run by money. That's definitely run by something like that. Um, but yeah, he takes him through and he's like, "Oh, I can help." And the other one's like, "Listen, I know you're a fake Jedi," but he doesn't reveal he's a Jedi. At first, he just says like I know you're fake. Like, just help me do this, blah blah, whatever. So they go through. They go through. He goes through, thinks he finds Leia's cell and everything like that, just to find out that it was a trap the whole time that Reva
Yeah.
set up. She's like, "Listen, he's gonna come." Like,
I'm gonna come.
I'm gonna come. Jesus, dude. Oh, shout out Jay, bro. Shout out Jay.
He's gonna come.
But they're like, oh yeah,
One
he'll go to the jail essentially.
one thing I did not expect, and I was like really surprised by, because you don't see this. You see him like fight with lightsabers and shit, and episode 1 through 3. Dude, Obi-Wan has hands, man. He was fucking those dudes up without a lightsaber. Dude.
Well,
He had some good moves.
he was kind of getting his ass kicked too, which is kind of like interesting. It kind of plays
Back
the
and forth.
fact he didn't need to learn hand to hand combat. He had the force to force push if he needed to, or jump away like that way, or use a lightsaber. He never had to use. He didn't like blasters and stuff like that. That was uncivilized and stuff like that. I mean, he never had to go hand to hand or anything like that because he had a lightsaber. He had the force, but now he can't really use any of that. And it seems like he was very hesitant to use the lightsaber as well, as we come to
Just
find
wanted to
out
draw
later in
the
the
attention.
episode. I mean, they knew who he was. I mean, the
That's
pirates knew who
true.
he was, and they were in a secluded area. But it's like he's hesitant to use it because last time he used it, it
He
was
chopped.
to
Yeah.
defeat Anakin Skywalker, chop off his legs and everything like that. I mean, that's the last time he used a lightsaber. It seems like, because I doubt he used it any time after. Um,
I don't think
so
so.
and then we even find out in the end of the second episode, he's very hesitant to even get into like a lightsaber duel again. With Rave at the end of the episode. Um, that goes down, and they think that they have him. Like, oh yeah, I can't. Like, you're bleeding all over the place. Haha, I'll have. And then everybody bleeds, tosses down the spice, gets away, finds Leia, and then kind of a similar callback to Leia getting busted out in episode 4. Like, I'm here to
Yeah.
save you, come on. Um, and then she keeps going back and forth, like, how am I supposed to trust you? All this type of stuff, and the whole rest of the episode is really really funny. She's like, everyone's like, listen, you're my daughter. We're farmers, we're here visiting or something. And then he's like, oh, granddad, maybe. I'm like, what? And she's just very very funny.
Yeah, she is.
But when it comes to something like that kind of funny relationship between the both of them, and it's also something interesting because he introduces himself to her as Ben, not Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So it kind of seems like, come to find out, I don't even think she realizes it by the end of the episode that he's a Jedi, just more so that he is wanted for something. Um, he never uses the lightsaber, so it's not like she could put the two and two together on that, and it doesn't look like she would even have an idea of Obi-Wan or who he was to begin with. Because episode
Yeah.
4, she asked specifically for Obi-Wan for help because she's like, oh, you fought by my father in the Clone Wars, like he needs your help, or we need your help, and Alderaan, all that type of stuff. It wasn't the same thing as when Luke comes to save her in episode 4, and Luke's like, come on, like, Ben Solo sent me here to help you, and she's like, Ben, where is he? She never
Yeah.
changes it to Obi-Wan or anything.
That,
So
that's what's
it's
so cool about this.
interesting.
That's what's so cool about I guess this series, because I thought it was gonna be. I honestly, before it started, I had no idea like Leia was gonna be in it, so I thought it was gonna be mainly about Luke. But I think they're tapping into the unknown of what happened between then and episode 4, for his relationship with Leia, um, and maybe how close maybe they were before, episode 4. So like I think there's a lot there's a lot of story to show in the future.
Well, especially, yeah, because I mean, now we understand how Leia knew who Ben Kenobi was, but Luke didn't. Luke,
Yeah.
he stayed far away from Luke, watched from a distance. He physically went and saved Leia, and then introduced himself that way. So that's why she wasn't hesitant that second time in episode 4 to get up and go. Whenever Luke took the helmet off of the stormtrooper outfit, and she's like, "Oh, Ben, okay, like Ben sent you. Like, I know this is real." Um,
Yeah.
but they ends up saving him, and then they get away. They're trying to go away safely, and then the little scene that I thought was really funny, whenever they tried to like buy the robes to look different and everything. He's like, you don't need the gloves, and he, okay, the gloves too. um, I thought that was really funny. But they try to get away, and then Riva, despite what the Grand Inquisitor said, the Grand Inquisitor was like, "You kidnapped a princess? Are you stupid?" And then
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I found out in the Jedi scripts or the old scrolls that they have a link somehow, so I used her as bait." And he's like, "Are you stupid? like, are you actually stupid? Like, why would you do something like that?
It worked.
I mean, it worked. She's like, well, it worked. Literally, she ends up having that type of attitude of it worked, so who cares? I mean, we can always
Yeah.
return her later, or something like that to that effect of just we can just bring her back later. It's fine.
Didn't wasn't it in that is it in that scene where he or maybe it was like a little bit later where he was like, uh, "You're not gonna get him, I am," and I was like, "Well,
It was
she's
that
definitely
scene.
gonna try to."
It was that scene. He was like, okay, well, now that we know he's here, I will be the one to do it, and I will get the glory for it. You
Yeah.
won't. Like, you
And
won't
that's the
do it.
moment I knew she was gonna like try to kill him
Hmm.
at some point. Either I don't know if it was gonna be that episode or the next one. But I was like, he's gonna definitely die. And I like he's I don't think he's dead, but um I want to see more of him because I don't know much about him and he seems really cool. So
So when it came to that part of the episode, they she tells Flea's character and the pirates like broadcast it, put it everywhere. I want everyone to know that he's here and to bring him to me, all that type of stuff.
kind of reminded me of
Um,
John Wick too.
yeah, literally, exactly. It was a complete like kind of calling to something of that sort of just like everyone, anybody goes, bring him to me. They go through this whole goose chase. They end up facing a Forlom type kind of callback bounty hunter, which I thought was kind of cool. This big reptilian dinosaur looking dude. Um, they just go through this whole chase. Riva's chasing them on the rooftops as well. They finally hit the cargo deck because the fake Jedi comes back and he's like, "Listen, I can help you. I want to help you. Like, I feel terrible. If I knew who you were, I would have helped you and tried so much harder."
I don't know
Um,
why I did not trust him when he was like I thought he was gonna double cross him.
I knew at that point he like had like the total change around. I was like, okay, he's being cool now. Because I was under the impression the whole episode that I was like he meant good. He means well by what he does. Like he's still trying to help them. He just does it for the money as much as that.
Yeah,
Um,
doesn't in a on what's the right word? In a unique way.
in a unique way. Very. That's good. He gains something with their gain too. It's kind of like a mutual thing, but more so
And
just a
he had
money.
me fooled at first because I thought I'm like, oh wow, that because I forget his name, the guy from the Eternals. But I was like, oh wow, he's like an actual Jedi in this. I'm like, that's dope. Like maybe they could use him in the future. And it turns out
He's a
he was
fake.
lying.
Well, it's not like Reba killed him. Kind of just
What?
like she kind of Reba didn't kill him. Like she just kind of picked his
No.
brain and was like, okay, you're annoying. Like let me just find
Yeah.
out. You don't have to tell me where he is. I'll
Well,
just
I was excited because like, oh, he's a Jedi. I thought he was like an actual Jedi at first, like before I realized, oh, he's a fake. But like,
yeah.
I thought it'd been cool to like use him as a Jedi in the future, unless he died or something like that. But I'm kind of glad Reva didn't kill him because it was like there's really no need
Kind
to.
of, kind of opens the possibility and like it opens now Ben knows another or Obi-Wan knows another character in the universe. He knows another character in the planets to kind of help him if he needs it or anything like that. Kind of like shows how he builds connections without even like really fully trying to. So we get to the cargo hold and then we kind of get a call back. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Warriors. But it's kind of like a fun callback to that where she's like Obi Wan in the movie The Warriors, the main gang essentially the Warriors fight. Like he tries to get them to come out basically because they're like all in like hiding in a way. Because like throughout the entire movie they're like fighting all these different like gangs and stuff like that, and then he's like clanging like these bottles saying like Warriors come out to play like all this type of shit. So it's kind of like a
Uh,
fun like a little calling to something like that. Just like Obi-Wan, I know you're here. I can sense you. Um,
I thought they were gonna fight then.
I thought they were too, but then it's kind of more so telling that he didn't. It's more so telling that he didn't just initiate, that he didn't do what he would do as a Jedi. He, even though they know who he is, there's nothing to lose from that because it's a very secluded area. There's no one else there. There's no one he can expose himself to. It's more so telling that he didn't do that. And then come to find out, somehow Reva knows that Anakin is Darth Vader. Almost nobody knows that. The only people that know
Well,
that
I thought that was like knowledge throughout the Empire.
it's not
I
it wasn't even knowledge for people like them because they didn't they didn't want anyone to know because essentially Palpatine was like Anakin's dead. Darth Vader. You are Darth Vader now. You're not Anakin. That's kind of his thing in episode 3.
that's true.
Henceforth you shall be known as Darth Vader. That's kind of like the thing. Anakin's dead now. You're Lord Vader. Like
Yeah.
you're Darth Vader now. Um
Now
So
that
it
makes
was
me
it was
think.
very secluded knowledge.
That makes me think that like Darth Vader hand selected these people to go kill Jedi.
So it's actually in the comics and the canon of the Inquisitors, actually it's Palpatine that gives the Inquisitors to him with that intention, and then Darth Vader's like, oh, cool, okay, you go hunt Jedi for me,
Yeah.
go kill him.
Okay. So that
Um,
must be how they know.
well, not even they. The thing is, not even they know. It's almost under the impression to me that because whenever, especially whenever Riva says, because Grand Inquisitor's like, why did you take a princess? So it's not like he knows who Princess Leia is or anything like that. They don't know. Like nobody in the universe besides Palpatine, not even Darth Vader, knew that Luke and Leia were his children. Like if you think about
True.
that,
Yeah.
like that was a very under wraps secret thing. Only certain people knew that information and stuff. The Grand Inquisitor never knew that even Anakin was Darth Vader. Like, cause he's going through this whole thing. Like, why are you like, what are you doing this certain stuff for? And then so for some reason, somehow she knows that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, and you can tell like that kind of shift in the tone, especially in the music. The music did what it was a great
Uh,
job. The whoever the person was that put together the music in that certain scene especially was great. It's been great so far, but in that
almost,
one
it literally
specific
almost
scene,
gave me chills.
it was
Almost gave me chills.
such a dramatic turn of just like kind of like this kind of intense like, oh, they might get in a fight, they're gonna fight, if they're gonna come to face duel, to an immediate turn whenever she's like, oh, you didn't know Anakin's still alive, Anakin is Darth Vader, essentially kind of
Yeah.
hinting at that, and then he's like, oh shit. And like you could tell you could tell the everything from his face. He doesn't have to say a word. He doesn't have to say anything. He just his face drops.
Shout out Ewan
Everything
McGregor for being such a good actress.
everything comes back to him.
Yeah.
It's just that crazy turn. He gets away, and then like you said, Riva kills the Grand Inquisitor, and I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Because later, the Star Wars Rebels essentially takes place like 5 to 6 years ahead of this timeline right now, and Grand
Uh,
Inquisitor is a main player in that whole series. So it's interesting. He's obviously alive somehow, but how they explain it. But I was almost under the impression that Reva was just going to leave the Inquisitors and kind of go on her own like solo mission, but
yeah.
not that, not just full on kill him, which I mean makes more sense. Eliminate the main target to what your mission is, right?
And she could be the main person for the Inquisitors. I
Or
mean, I don't
how
know
they're
much
gonna
about
do
them.
it, because even the Inquisitor implies that she's the youngling, because like, oh, we were you're the least of us, you're the bottom of the barrel, like you were at the bottom of the chain, but when we saw it, we took you in, type of stuff. But then she built it all this resentment, became a main player of the thing, and becomes the main player. She becomes one of the Inquisitors, and when it comes to the other Inquisitors, they're only referred to as fifth brother or third brother or whatever it is. Um, she is more commonly referred to as Riva more than the third sister, so it shows like the lack of respect they have for her whenever they
Yeah.
say what's going on, and it's interesting. Um, you know, they
They're
go on.
interesting villains.
It's
Like
interesting
I'm excited to learn more about them.
because there's
As long
not,
as they don't die right away.
you know,
You never know with that.
you never know. Um, but
And honestly, like with the writing they did for this show, like dude, like the villains they chose. I mean, I love the villains for this show so far. I really do. Like I think they're intense, and I think their vision is like clear what they want. And I think they're so far really well done. So I think that also helps the show a lot with like, and also Darth Vader is gonna come eventually, but I actually fuck with Riva. I fucked with the Inquisitor. And the guy who was the fifth brother, the Asian
mhm.
one. That's the guy who plays Juan in Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
I was like that guy. I was looking at him. I was like that guy
he's
looks
very
so
familiar.
fucking. I was like, where is he from? I looked it up on IMDb. I was like, I can't believe he's doing this. Like that's actually sick.
So,
He's
I
killing
mean,
it.
actually, speaking of the Vader coming soon type thing, at the very end of the episode, he gets to sit like um goodness gracious. Obi-Wan sits there, he's in the cargo ship, they kind of get away, but then even Leia's like, what's wrong? And he just sits there in just this pure blank face of just shit. Oh my God. and then he utters the word Anakin, which you can tell he kind of uttered that word for the first that name for the first time in like 10 years since the original thing had happened. And the rest of the show, the people had said his name, but he didn't say it. He refused. It's almost like he refused to say it. Like he kind of was at rest, didn't want to say it again, didn't want to ever bring it up again, and
Yeah.
then he says it. Instant cut to the sounds of Darth Vader's, breathing mechanism, to him in the bathtub tank, and him just the eyes open. You can subtly see the red eyes still there, in Anakin's face, and it's just, oh, it's eerie. And it was the perfect way they could have ended that second episode to really push us like, Wednesday, here comes episode 3. Be ready for it.
Yes. Dude, I I absolutely love the way they ended that. Like with the way Hugh McGregor looked when he like realized he was alive, and then like it like pans right to Darth Vader. Like, dude, the music they chose, you hear him Darth Vader breathing the iconic sound. Um, just dude, top notch shit. Honestly, I think that was the perfect way to end that second episode to get you hyped for the next one.
Definitely. The funniest part is whenever we got that trailer, if I forgot who told me that, but some like or not someone specifically told me, but I heard it someone say the trailer only shows episodes 1 and 2. We are in the complete dark when it comes to the
Wait,
rest of the
really?
series. We have no idea what happens next.
Wow,
So I
that's dude.
mean, it's this show's gonna be great. This show's gonna
Now
be
let me ask you
interesting.
this: do you know how many episodes it's gonna be?
6.
It is gonna be six.
It's going to
Okay.
be 6. So it's gonna be 4 more weeks of 3, 4, 5, and 6, that
How
we're gonna get. So how are they gonna fit the rest of
all
the
this?
story in 4 episodes? We gotta come to find out, I guess.
Yeah, I need more. I need more of
I
this
need
in my
more
life
now.
right
I
now.
need more now. Once this wraps up, we'll have a lot more to talk about for more Marvel stuff because the next thing I believe that comes out that's going to be Star Wars related won't be until the fall, when they actually release a show that it's a kind of like a what if series version of Star Wars. And
Oh
then
wait, what was that called again?
I forget actually. Let me see if I can find Obi Wan, Andor,
Is it Tales
Ahsoka,
or something like that?
Mandalorian.
Could be
Where was
wrong.
it? They didn't say it in this. Anyway, they didn't say it for some reason in that.
Uh,
But yeah, I guess they released that in that little Star Wars thing or like panel or whatever they released. There was going to be a new show where it's essentially a what if or essentially like more of a tale of whatever. So it's a lot of interesting Star Wars stuff that's coming. I'm very excited for it.
me too.
It's there's going to be a lot that's coming out soon for Star Wars, for Marvel, which is why we wanted to start this in a time where there's so much to talk about. Um,
Yes.
Hopefully get more people on it. When we get some more of the Marvel stuff, I think we'll get more people on. I think they're gonna have more fun stuff to say when it comes to it.
Yeah.
There's one person in particular, Birdie. I don't think you've actually met Birdie or talked to him besides maybe once, but he's actually big
Uh,
into Marvel comics. So he would be a great person to talk to when it comes to the Marvel stuff as well as the Star Wars stuff. So we'll kind of get him
yeah.
on soon and be able to talk more about stuff. But I mean, this has been a very filled first
Yeah.
episode here, and
And
we could have
honestly,
gone on for much longer when it comes to it.
we could have probably talked just about Marvel slash Star Wars for about, I would say, another 3 hours.
Another 3 hours. I mean, be honest. So I think once this goes off, we may talk for a few more minutes or something, but we'll have to see. But when it comes to it, man, we talk a lot about this stuff. So we figured when we talk about it, why not just throw on a recording and we'll make content out of it. But
Okay.
I think right now this is a good place to wrap up. Episode 3 of Obi Wan Kenobi comes out next week. The next time that we see you guys, we'll hopefully be getting some more news on some more shows. We'll become a little more organized about as far as the shows. We can talk a little bit about more of the Star Wars shows that are coming out soon, and we will probably have I think episodes 3 and 4 of Obi Wan to talk about when we next see you guys as far as this podcast. So if you guys are looking forward to it, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if you guys actually enjoy this series. I think regardless, it's something that Mike and I both very much enjoy. So I think we'll try and make this a series, get some more people on in FTF, outside of FTF, everything like that. I'm looking forward to the future of stuff like this. I very much enjoy it. So
Too.
I mean, hey, do you have anything else to kind of wrap up with? I mean, did I do a good job of that, or what do you got? What do you got to wrap up?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm just like so excited. Like we had a dull point where like there wasn't that much. Like I mean, maybe between like Spider-Man, Batman. and then we hit that like low point before Doctor Strange. Now there's like a bunch of shit out. Stranger Things, Obi Wan, The Boys is coming out very soon in June. Um, like they announced so many Star Wars TV shows. Like they're going hard as fuck with these Star Wars TV shows. So there's gonna be just so much more to talk about. Marvel's probably just gonna get even more nuts. They have the She-Hulk series coming soon. Like, and Daredevil series got announced. Like, dude, there's we're gonna have so many more of these podcasts. We might have to make these more frequent because there's gonna be so much to talk about.
There's a lot
Honestly,
to talk about. So I think when it comes down to the more and more to talk about, there may have to be more stuff like you said. So to wrap up, we appreciate you guys listening. If you guys have listened to it thus far, if you guys are listening to it in parts, we still appreciate the fact that you were willing to do so. At the end of the day, this has been Mike Hush. This has been Jacob CapShotz, and this has been Conversations Episode 1, FTF style, when it comes to the comic books. We appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night.